is if you have faith, you shouldn't struggle. That's the
Mm,
biggest misconception. If you believe, then you shouldn't struggle, right?
yeah.
But we see all the time in the Bible people struggle. Prime example would be um uh, what is his name? What is his name? Job.
Okay, that's
Job,
good.
right? Job
Yeah.
was clinically depressed by definition. And when you begin to look at the early stages of the book of Job, he was sad about his kids. He worried about his family. He worried about his wife. He worried about everything, which is anxiety. Till eventually he stopped going to work and tending his fields. And what happened? His crops failed. And things just continued to happen to him because his mental health was declining, right? And we
Yeah.
also know the story about God being there with Satan and having this conversation with Satan, say, no, Job is my faithful servant. He's going to do this. What God had challenged Job to do was to not only just embrace his faith, to understand that everything's going to work out, but he needed Job to believe at the same time, right? And
Yeah.
so oftentimes when we think about having faith, we want to remove the, I guess, psychological aspect of it. In fact, the Bible is all about the mind and the psychological aspect, right? It talks about, worry for nothing. Today has its own trouble. It tells you what you believe is what you get. Those all rooted into psychology. So the biggest conception I've heard was that, you know, hey, if I have faith, if I can pray it away and everything would be okay. Another misconception I heard was mental health problems are always the devil or not always spiritual. Sometimes it is spiritual. Sometimes it's trauma. Sometimes it's chemical imbalance. We have to stop oversimplifying people's pains and saying, hey, just pray it away because sometimes it's bigger than it's not bigger than God, but sometimes it's bigger than the person capacity to deal with it on their own. And
Very
that's
true.
when mental health therapists and psychiatrists come in to help guide them back into the real world so that they can continue to do the work themselves.